My name is Elena Marlowe, and I'm 32 years old. If you'd asked me a year ago what I thought love required, I would have said patience, space, understanding. The willingness to sit quietly in the dark with someone you believed was worth waiting for. I didn't realize that sometimes patience becomes the rope you hand someone to hang you with. For 3 years, I dated Adam. We lived together for nearly 2 of them, and in the beginning, our apartment felt like a promise, warm, peaceful. The place where 2 people built a future step by step. He used to call it our little fortress, a private world just for us. I remember the way he smiled the day we moved in, lifting boxes like they were filled with feathers, teasing me about labeling every single one. Back then, he said he admired how thoughtful I was. Now I think he just liked how easy I made everything for him. I worked hard, contributed as much as I could, cooked dinners most nights, and tried to be the dependable partner he claimed he'd never had before. I wasn't wealthy, but I was steady, loyal, present, the kind of woman who followed through. Maybe that's why I missed the warning signs. The first shift was small, so small I almost gaslit myself into ignoring it. Adam had always left his phone around face up half the time without a lock. But then suddenly it was glued to him. He took it to the shower, to the laundry room, to the mailbox, and he started placing it face down whenever it was on a table. At first I told myself not to overthink it. His job at the marketing firm had been stressful lately. New clients, tight deadlines. Maybe he was decompressing with stupid memes from coworkers. That's what he said anyway when he laughed quietly at messages and brushed me off with a "Relax, babe. Don't be weird." But the laughing wasn't what bothered me. It was the silence afterward, the way his expression shifted into something private, something shut away from me. Then came the late nights. He'd text me running behind. "We're staying late." "We?" I'd ask. "Yeah, Lydia and I. We're finalizing the pitch." Lydia. A name I'd never heard before. A name he introduced so casually, like she'd always been part of the narrative. He described her as funny, a bit scatterbrained, terrible, at texting, always forgetting punctuation or sending emojis that didn't make sense. I laughed it off the first time, but then her name kept showing up. In his stories, his excuses, his late night, just one drink after work. One night he came home at nearly midnight, smelling faintly of floral perfume and cheap beer. "You were drinking?" I asked softly. "Just 1 or 2, he said, tossing his keys on the counter. "You sound like my mom right now. Relax." It stung. Not because he snapped, Adam had moods, and I'd learned to give him space, but because something in his tone felt rehearsed, like this wasn't the first time he'd had this argument, just the first time with me. Over the next few weeks, we became strangers occupying the same space. He sat beside me on the couch, yet miles away, always scrolling, rarely speaking. If I brushed his arm, he'd shift just enough to make me feel like I'd done something wrong. When I asked, "Is everything okay between us?" he sighed dramatically. "You've been really sensitive lately. It's exhausting." I started doubting myself. Maybe I was being needy. Maybe I had lost my spark. Maybe he needed more comfort than I could give. So I tried harder. I cooked his favorite meals, planned a weekend getaway to the mountains, left small sticky notes in his lunch. "Love you. Proud of you. Can't wait for the weekend." Most of them disappeared without a comment. I don't even know if he read them. Then came the Friday that changed everything. I'd left work early with a surprise, his favorite Thai food and a bottle of wine. I thought maybe we could reconnect, just talk, just be us again. His car wasn't in the driveway, but he had texted earlier, working late. "Don't wait up." No red flags? Not yet. I set the food on the table, lit a candle, and reached for utensils when I heard a soft ping. His laptop. He always left it open. He never thought twice about it. A notification popped up, messages, not emails. Synced texts. I told myself not to look. I told myself I was better than that. I told myself trust meant staying seated. But trust only works when both people honor it. I clicked. The first message was from Lydia. "Wish you were here. Still thinking about last night." Then his reply. "Same. Can't stop smiling. Elena's clueless." The room shrank around me. My breath didn't come fast. It didn't come at all. Something inside me went still, like my heart refused to pump until my brain processed the betrayal. I scrolled. Inside jokes, hearts, flirty emojis, late-night plans, memories of shared rides home, her saying, "You make me feel alive," him replying, "I'll tell her soon." And then the one that broke something in me. He said she's too good for him anyway. My hands felt numb, my throat burned. I read the messages again and again, like repetition would somehow make them less real. Then I heard the front door unlock. Adam walked in, dropping his bag with casual exhaustion. "Hey, babe." Why is it so quiet in? He froze when he saw my face. I closed his laptop slowly, deliberately, and lifted my eyes to his. Adam, I said softly, each word like walking across ice. Who is Lydia? Really? His expression flickered. Panic. Then calculation. A script unfolding behind his eyes. Elena, he laughed weakly. Seriously, are we doing this? I didn't move. My voice didn't shake. I read the messages, I said. All of them. Silence rushed in like a storm. He didn't blink, and neither did I. For a moment, Adam didn't speak. He just stood there at the doorway, his hand still resting on the knob like he was frozen mid-scene. Then the performance began. Elena, he breathed, pressing a hand to his forehead dramatically. You went through my laptop. Seriously, what the hell is wrong with you? There it was. His first instinct wasn't remorse. It was attack. I didn't move from the table. The Thai food sat untouched between us, still warm, still hopeful, completely irrelevant. Don't make this about me, I said quietly. His mouth twitched, panic, frustration, calculation, all flashing through his eyes like a deck of cards being shuffled too fast. You invaded my privacy, he insisted. Do you have any idea how messed up that is? I saw you calling me clueless, I replied. I saw you telling her you'd explain everything soon. I saw you calling me too good for you. I paused, letting the truth settle like dust on glass. And I saw you telling her you couldn't stop smiling after whatever you two did last night. His jaw clenched. A muscle in his cheek jumped. He wasn't embarrassed, he was annoyed he'd been caught. Elena, he exhaled, pacing like a caged animal. You're blowing this out of proportion. Things haven't been good between us for months. You know that. No, I said calmly. I don't know that. He scoffed, shaking his head. God, you really don't see it, do you? You're so predictable. Everything is a routine. The same dinners, the same plans, the same conversations. Lydia gets me. She makes me feel alive. I finished for him. He winced. He hadn't expected that. She makes me feel like myself, he snapped. You've been suffocating me with your expectations. I leaned back slightly, studying him, not the man I loved, but the man he had become. A stranger wearing Adam's face. Is that why you slept with her? I asked. His silence was the answer. He shifted again, switching tactics. His voice softened, toning down to the wounded victim he always hid behind when cornered. You stopped trying, Elena, he whispered. You stopped noticing me. I felt alone. I planned a weekend trip for us, I said. I cooked your favorite meals. I left you notes every day. He flinched, eyes darting away. The truth didn't fit the script he wanted to sell. Elena, He swallowed hard. It wasn't just sex. I was lonely. I nodded slowly. And instead of talking to me, you crawled into someone else's arms. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Then his voice cracked, angry, fragile, desperate. If you loved me, he choked out, you'd be happy that I'm happy. There it was. The line that shattered whatever remained of the woman who used to accommodate his storms. For a moment, I just stared at him. At the man I once thought I'd marry. At the man I'd trusted with my future. Then I stood up, walked past him to the bedroom, and pulled out 2 empty suitcases. Elena, he said, his voice trembling. What are you doing? Packing, I replied simply. He rushed after me. You're being dramatic. No, I said neatly, folding his shirts the same way I used to do laundry for him. You cheated. You lied. That's not drama, Adam. That's reality. He hovered by the doorway, fists clenching, unclenching. You can't just throw me out, he barked. I live here. You can start being happy somewhere else, I said, calmly zipping the first suitcase. He froze again, completely thrown by my composure. I could see him scanning my face for weakness, some opening he could exploit, but there was none. Then came the tears, sudden, violent, practiced. He sat on the edge of the bed, crying into his hands. Elena, please. I messed up. Okay, I was stupid. I needed attention. You stopped noticing me. You stopped trying. I didn't stop, I said softly. You stopped appreciating. His crying grew louder, messy, but not sincere. I'd seen him truly cry before. This wasn't that. Elena, he sobbed. Please don't do this. We've been together for 3 years. You're really going to throw it away over a mistake. We already ended, I said. I just didn't know it yet. He watched helplessly as I carried the first bag to the door. When I returned for the second, he followed me like a shadow. Where am I supposed to go? He demanded. Lydia's, I said. He blinked, startled. She doesn't have space. Then her roommate. I set his shoes by the door. Or a motel. He stared at me, eyes still wet, but now furious. You're cold, he hissed. You don't even care, do you? You made that question irrelevant, I said, when you decided to sleep with someone else. His lips trembled, anger intensifying. I said I was sorry, and I said I'm done. He grabbed his suitcases, stormed out, then turned back one last time. You'll regret this, he threatened. No one will ever love you like I do. I opened the door wider. I hope not. He stared at me shocked, furious, powerless, and left. When the door closed behind him, the silence that followed felt clean, heavy, but pure. I walked back to the table. The Thai food had gone cold, the wine bottle unopened. For the first time in months, I wasn't afraid of the quiet. I deleted his number that night, not out of anger, but clarity. The next morning, the apartment felt different. Hollow, yes, but lighter. The absence of his voice didn't ache. It simply settled. I didn't feel rage. I didn't cry. I just breathed. A week later, I found an envelope on my doorstep. His handwriting. Inside, pages of apologies tangled with blame. Emotional gymnastics. Lines like, "She used me. I was confused. I just wanted to feel something." And the final plea, "Please call me. We can fix this." I folded the letter, placed it back in the envelope, and carried it to the trash bin outside. The bag landed with a soft thud. Symbolic final. And I walked back inside without looking back. The first week after Adam left felt strangely quiet, too quiet. I kept expecting the sound of his keys hitting the counter, or his footsteps pacing when he was irritated, or even his sighs when he wanted attention. But the silence didn't hurt the way I thought it would. It felt like the apartment was taking its first full breath in months. And so was I. By the second week, it became clear how much of my life I had been holding together by sheer emotional duct tape. I slept through the night without waking up to wonder whether he was mad at me or whether he was with someone else. I got to work early, not because I was running from something, but because I genuinely felt lighter. Coworkers noticed before I did. "You look rested," one of them said, like I'd just returned from a silent retreat in the mountains. My boss even joked, "You finally stopped walking around like someone stole your coffee." I didn't tell him Adam had stolen my peace long before he stole anything tangible. By the third week, Adam started calling from unknown numbers, each one blocked without hesitation. He left voicemails that shifted from apologetic to frustrated to pleading. I didn't listen to a single one. His messages grew desperate. "Can we talk? I just want closure. I made a mistake. Please, Elena, I need you." But every line felt hollow, like words thrown into a well he expected me to climb back into. I wasn't going back. Meanwhile, life began slowly rearranging itself. I cooked dinners just for me. I lit candles not to create a mood, but because I liked the scent. I rearranged the living room, moved his old gaming chair out, replaced the photos on the walls with new prints that reflected who I was becoming instead of who I'd been trying to be for him. Every small change felt like reclaiming territory. Then, about a month later, I ran into Sarah, one of his friends, at the grocery store. Her expression shifted the second she recognized me, going from polite surprise to uncomfortable pity. "Elena, hey," she said, adjusting her basket nervously. "Hey," I replied, reaching for a carton of eggs. She cleared her throat. "So, I'm guessing you heard about Adam?" I didn't look up. "No." She hesitated as if debating whether she should say anything. Then she lowered her voice. "He's not doing great. He's been staying in this cheap motel near the highway. Things with Lydia fell apart. Pretty fast, actually." A small, quiet part of me felt the faintest twinge, not sympathy, but recognition. This was the man who had tried to replace me with someone who saw him as exciting until she got a closer look. "I hope he figures himself out," I said simply. Sarah blinked, confused by my calmness. Then she forced a smile and walked away. I wasn't cold, I just wasn't responsible for his healing. But Adam's decline didn't stop there. About 2 weeks after that grocery store run-in, he texted again from a new number. "I miss talking to you." Blocked. Another number. "I still care about you. Lydia manipulated me." Blocked. Then, "I'm falling apart. Please just talk to me." Blocked. His closure obsession became a pattern reaching for me whenever his life slipped through his fingers. That's the thing people like Adam never understood. They don't miss you. They miss the version of themselves you made tolerable. It all escalated the day I saw him in person again. It was at a cafe after work. A group of us from the office were celebrating wrapping up a major project. I was laughing, genuinely laughing, something I hadn't done without forcing it for a long time. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw someone standing by the counter, holding a takeaway cup and staring at me like I was a ghost. Adam. His hair was unkempt, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes dull with exhaustion. He looked smaller somehow, like life had deflated him. He waited until I got up to leave, then stepped directly into my path. "Elena," he said, voice cracking slightly. "Can we talk?" Reflex made me stop, but not for him. Just out of instinct. "I'm getting help," he rushed out. "Therapy. Trying to get my life together. I know I hurt you. I know that. But I've changed." I raised an eyebrow. "Changed." He nodded quickly. Too quickly. I realized what I lost. You were the only person who ever loved me like that. I took you for granted, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." His voice trembled. I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel affection. I didn't feel anything. "Adam," I said calmly, "I hope you find your happiness, but I'm not part of that journey anymore." His face tightened, desperation flickering. "So you're just done, just like that?" "You made that decision for me," I replied. "I just finally acted on it." His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then he laughed, ugly, bitter, wounded. "You're so cold now," he spat. "I don't even recognize you." That's because I said, stepping past him, "You're looking for the woman who tolerated everything." I paused at the door. "She's gone." I walked out of the cafe without turning back. That night, another string of messages came through, from yet another number, swinging rapidly between, "Please don't do this. I'll do anything. You don't understand what I'm going through. You're heartless. I hope you're miserable." I blocked him again. And again that familiar silence filled my apartment. But this time it wasn't heavy. It wasn't lonely. It wasn't hollow. It was mine. 6 months passed after Adam walked out of my apartment for the last time. Half a year of quiet mornings, steady breathing, and rediscovering pieces of myself I didn't even know I'd lost. I bought a small house on the edge of town. Nothing extravagant, just mine. Sunlight spilled into the living room every morning in a soft golden sheet, and for the first time in years, waking up didn't feel like bracing for impact. I cooked real meals again. I took weekend hikes. I sat in silence that didn't ache or accuse or hover like a cloud of expectation. Silence finally felt like peace. Adam, meanwhile, became nothing more than an occasional piece of distant gossip. A friend of a friend told me he'd temporarily moved in with Lydia again, only for her to kick him out after a week. Someone else mentioned he'd missed too many days at work and got fired. Another said he was drinking more than he should, calling people late at night, begging for places to stay. But none of it pulled at me. Not out of cruelty, just distance, the way a childhood memory becomes faint, soft, no longer binding. Then came the wedding, the final test life decided to give me. It was a coworker's wedding, elegant and bright, held at a vineyard, draped in fairy lights. I almost didn't go. Crowds had never been my comfort zone, and the idea of running into someone who knew both me and Adam felt messy. But I had a date. Michael. We'd met at a bookstore 2 months earlier, one of those places filled with warm lamps and mismatched chairs. He'd been reaching for the same novel I was, and somehow that small moment turned into a conversation, then coffee, then something that felt healing. He wasn't dramatic, he wasn't demanding. He didn't need emotional rescue. He was just steady, kind, a quiet presence that didn't drain me. Being around him felt like breathing air I hadn't realized I'd been deprived of. So yes, I brought him to the wedding. We arrived hand in hand, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I walked into a crowded room without feeling like I had to shrink myself to make someone else comfortable. Music played softly. Guests laughed. Glasses clinked, candles flickered on tables covered in greenery. It felt like a scene from a life I'd once dreamed of, and maybe still could have. We were at the bar chatting when I heard someone whisper behind us, "Isn't that Adam?" My stomach didn't drop. My pulse didn't spike. Nothing inside me tightened or twisted. I turned around calmly, and there he was. Adam looked nothing like the man who used to accuse me of being too sensitive. His hair was grown out unevenly, his face thinner, his clothes ill-fitting. He had the look of someone who hadn't slept in days, or maybe weeks. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on me, and then on the man beside me. The realization hit him like a slow, crushing wave. He hesitated, clutching his drink like it was anchored to the floor. Then he walked toward us. "Elena," he said softly, almost breathlessly. "Hi, Adam," I replied, steady, composed. Michael gave him a polite nod before excusing himself. He didn't need to insert himself. He trusted me to handle my past without proving anything. "How have you been?" Adam asked. "Good," I said simply. "Really good." He swallowed hard, glancing at where Michael had walked off. "You look different," he muttered, "happier." "I am." Something in him cracked at that. He tried to recover. I guess you've heard things about me." I shrugged gently. "A few." "I'm trying to fix things," he rushed out. "I'm sober now. I've been reflecting. I'm working part-time until I can get back on my feet. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying." "That's good," I said sincerely. He blinked, thrown off by my lack of judgment. Or maybe he was thrown off by how little his explanation mattered. "Elena, can we talk, really talk, after everything?" His voice trembled. I met his eyes. I said everything I needed to say. His breath hitched. "So you're really done? That's it?" "Yes," I said gently. "That's it." "But I've changed," he insisted. Maybe I replied. But that doesn't mean you get access to me. His face crumpled, the bravado collapsing. I miss you, he whispered. I exhaled softly. You miss who I was when I loved you. That version of me doesn't exist anymore. Tears filled his eyes, real ones this time, not the manipulative display he'd used before. You really feel nothing, he asked. I thought about that for a moment. Peace, I answered. He frowned confused. Peace, I nodded. It's what you get when you stop setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. He stared at me, searching for something. Anger, regret, longing. But there was nothing left in me to give. At that moment, Michael returned his hand, brushing lightly against mine. The gesture was small, gentle, but full of meaning. Adam saw it, and I watched the realization sink into him like a stone sinking underwater. He'd lost me, not because he cheated, not because he lied, but because I finally learned what it felt like to choose myself. Goodbye, Adam, I said. He didn't answer. He just stepped back defeated and watched as Michael and I walked away. Later that night, as we were leaving the venue, I glanced back for one final moment. Adam sat alone at the bar, staring into his empty glass like he was trying to find the person he used to be. The same place I'd been sitting hours earlier, the same position, but a completely different story. Poetic, cruel, inevitable. I turned away without hesitation. Michael intertwined his fingers with mine as we stepped into the cool night air. And just like that, the chapter